But I think that today we are not talking about me, but we will listen the emergency, how emergency number is working in Sweden, and we also will listen Malaysian experience. So with me here are Björn Skoglund from Sweden and from SOS Alarm, and Norazhar Sulaiman from Malaysia. So I think that it's time to go on. And now Norazhar Sulaiman from Telecom Malaysia. Floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Good morning and bonjour, Marseille. All right. I'm Norazhar. I'm from Malaysia. I work with Telecom Malaysia for almost 25 years. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present about the modernization of emergency services in Malaysia. So some of you that do not know where Malaysia is, so we are in Southeast Asia, right? To the south is Singapore, and to the north is Thailand, right? And to the further south is Australia, right? So very nearby to Indonesia, to Australia, as compared to travel from here to Europe. So we got to take about 18 hours flight all the way from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. All right. We have 13 states altogether, all right, with 3 federal territories, all right. And then the current population in Malaysia, as of April 17, 2022, is 33 million, all right? So most of them, 75.1%, is living in urban area. So each of those states, they have cities, right? So these people will be staying at the city, right? But there are not as many as staying in big city like Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Johor Bahru, Kuching, and Kota Kinabalu. All right, so 24.9% living in the rural area. So rural area, I consider that it is on the east of Malaysia, right? And also in east of Malaysia, if you're on the right side of it. All right, the coastline. So we have a very long coastline, which is 4,675, right? And with a beautiful beach, right? And then the area, we're talking about the land is about 33 million, right? And then the forest covering Malaysia is 55.3% of it, right? So the roads is 375,000 kilometers, right? So if you have read a lot of, the newspaper, for example, or from the website, we have quite a large number of road accidents, for example, right? So we are talking about 400,000 road accidents in 2020. I'm sorry, I don't get the latest statistics. But definitely when COVID came back in 2020 and 2021, for example, the number of road accidents is not as much as what it is on a yearly basis, right? And then the number of fatality injuries is, we're talking about 12,000, right? So hospital and special medical institution in 2020 is 146, but as of now, it is already increased. So some background on emergency services that we currently have is back in 1957, right? So we have a lot of numbers, right? So police and hospital, for example, the people will be calling 999. And then for the fire department, they'll be calling 994. And then for the civil defense, they'll be calling 991. But in 1st October 2007, right, the government has decided that to introduce only one number, it's only 999. All right, so it consolidates not only these 4 on the left side, right, but it is consists of 5 core public safety and emergency agencies, right? If you see on the right side, it is a police, fire and rescue, hospital, civil defense, and maritime, Coast Guard, right? So the aspiration is to have one number, so it's easier for the public to call, right, instead of remember so many numbers when it comes to emergency. So the current responders is, as I mentioned, there are 5. All right, those people, the people when they're having a problems, for example, they can call police, and if they are at sea, for example, they can call maritime. So the evolution of emergency services in Malaysia, as I mentioned, back in 1957, all right, 3 numbers. And in 2008, right, so we introduced 999, phase 1, whereby the call takers will be filtering the call from the public before it reach the 4 agencies. So what are those response centers does? They will filter the crime call. They do the filtering for that, and they gather information and send to emergencies agencies. All right, and back in 2011 and 2012, all right, so we implement most all of the states in Malaysia, right, which is in phase 2. So at that time, all right, so the public can reach all the 5 agencies, including the maritime. And we launched our smartphone apps back in 2013 for the deaf, all right, and then we continue with that with phase 3, which is completes all those states back in 2014. And we also introduced Save Me 999 for the blind, right? So we have a number of disabled, right, which they can call, right? And then also, we also introduced smartphone apps, which is not only for the police, but it is for all the agencies. But we name it as the Save Me 999 by the government. And this is especially when it comes to robbery, for example, you are not able to communicate direct to the call center when maybe the robbers can hear the communication, right? They can use the apps, right? And the important thing is before you use the apps, you have to register your name with the ID number, national ID number. So whatever things that happen, for example, you just can click the Save Me 999, when we know where you are and we know who you are, right? Exactly using the GPS. So here we are now in 2022. So we are moving to NG, Next Generation 999. All right, the very important things I need to share your experience, our experience is, with the 12 years experience that we had with 5 agencies, for example, right? We gather all those information, we gather all the problems they are facing from the beginning. Usually the system itself doesn't really can meet whatever requirements, because the important thing is those people at the responders, for example, they are the one that really understand what they want actually, right? And second thing, it's not easy actually to merge with different protocols, all right, with one numbers, because each of these agencies, they have their own protocols. They have their own ways of doing things, right? So we managed to do that, right? So even though there was a lot of things, I mean, to make sure those things happen, right? So finally, it is a success story for all of us. Even we are moving advanced in Singapore and Thailand because of this, right? As compared to other countries, they have a lot of numbers, all right? So the coordination of this is very important, because for the response center, for example, when we have to put together event codes, right? Whenever we receive the call, the PSAP, the response center, right? They have to understand what is actually going on, whether it is on a road accident, whether it is you're talking about flood or something like that. And remember that when it comes to road accident, sometimes we are not even require police or ambulance. We may require more than that, right? So the coordination by the PSAP or response center in Malaysia is very critical to ensure that we can save life. So the important thing is we are talking about command, we are talking about communication, we are talking about control. That's very important, right? And then we also certified for the protocol, for example, for fire department. And in 2023, we also will be certified with a medical protocol. So for NG999, we are following the trends, right? So make sure that the smartphone we can access through the smartphone. We also will be using the social media. We have a lot of data, for example, back since that we have been starting in 2007. So imagine the number of data that we have in our big data. We can do a lot of things from that, right? So we also have a drone, right? And EML also will be introduced, right? And we will be using the artificial intelligence, right? But all this will come in together with NG999. All right. Share with you the current emergency services in Malaysia. All right. Currently, as I mentioned to you, we only have two ways of communication. One is using the voice call, the normal voice call, from the fixed and also from the mobile. All right. They can also use the mobile application, say Me999, as I mentioned just now, right? And it will go to Response Center 999, where Response Center 999, they have together the fire protocol, right? So they will do all those filtering to make sure that it is the correct, we can send it to the correct dispatch center on the right side, all right? For example, so the second thing is whoever calls, whoever they are, right? We know who's the caller is, all right? We have integrated our system to all 5 mobile operators. So whenever they call from other different operators, they will reach us, comes together with the name, all right? Also, the number, all right? And the location. That's very important. So the first thing when they reach the response center or PSAP, we will greet them by the name. For example, right? Christina, may I help you? These are the things, all right? And then we know where you are, all right? Unless the current system with the limitation is, if you are the roamers, for example, right? We are not able to recognize you, but we know the location where you are. Then we know all those the parameters that we have in the system, okay? And the system will go to agency full CAT. We are using the CAT, all right? And those information will be keyed into the CAT, every single line item, right? And it will be dispatched to whether it is a medical protocol for Ministry of Health, or we send it to Fire and Rescue Department. Let's say, for example, when the accident happened, there is a bad injuries, for example, which is require the fire department to open up the car, right? So the CAT system will be copied to Fire and Rescue Department, so the Fire Rescue Department will come and to do the rescue, okay? This is the current one. So for the future, upcoming emergency services in Malaysia in G999, right? So will be introduced push notification. The traditional voice call will be there, right? And mobile application will be upgraded, right? And then also will be introduced sensor. Sensor meaning to say that we are talking about e-call, we're talking about those alarm from home, from the shopping mall complex, or whether at the park, if there is any emergencies, you just can go there and press the button and the police will come, all right? So we'll go into the communication control point, right? And then before it reach response center NG999, and the data center will process all the data, right? And before they send it to the new agencies CAT, all right? And also new agencies like CAT. So the difference is what we have now and the future in 2023, right? Whenever we dispatch, for example, right? And the agencies will know, we will know, the response center will know where is the current, for example, the fire asset or the ambulance will reach the destination. So imagine you are calling for Grab or Uber, for example, right? Or pizza or something like that. You know when your food will reach the destination. That will be the same things that we will implement. So we don't want that the caller will be worried about when the ambulance or the fire department will reach them, because that is very important. If you're talking about Kuala Lumpur, during the peak hours, it's going to be very, very busy, all right? And that system will help, all right? Will help the agencies, for example, to determine the best route to reach the destination, yeah? And at the same time, the responder apps also will help them to help them to show what is happening at the site, direct to the command center, for example, in a hospital or that, so that the doctors will be ready at the emergency department. Okay, for next gen 999, we have learned something from the current COVID, all right? Currently, we have 3 response center PSAP in Malaysia. We have in Kuala Lumpur, we have in Malacca. The other one is in Kuching, in Borneo, all right? So some of the staff was infected by the COVID, and we have to close the PSAP. So with that, we introduced the mobile PSAP, which is they can turn on the laptop from home, they can receive the call from home, or they can call it from anywhere, okay? Okay, this is some scenarios of the emergency call. It's from the public voice call and data, and then it goes to response center call takers. And then from the response center, the call takers will send the data to the command center, and then before it reach operation center and responders. And then currently, we are not able to call the caller, right? The caller, the emergency agency is only the one that can call the caller, right? So in the next NG999, we will be able to call the caller, right, and to ask them whether the agencies, the emergencies agency, already reached and help them, yeah. So for the call takers, these are the very important element that we are working on, which is on the standard quality assessment for handling emergency protocol. All right, this is always a year around of assessment that we are going to do, right? And then also standard quality assessment by evaluating call takers' performance. It's very important, all right, to understand and then to make sure they are at the good condition. And quality improvement programs is on a yearly basis that we will be doing it, not only with the PSAP, but also we do the same as well with the response center, with these emergency agencies. We have an award, we have the best call takers, for example, we have the best dispatch and all those things, right? And then the training and development is ongoing. So we have, the training is done, currently is on manual basis, whereby you have to go to the classroom, right? But when it comes to NG999 later on, we'll be introduced e-learning, all right? So this is, we learned it from COVID as well, right? So we can do, we have our studio whereby we can do the training from the studio, and then we open up whatever things, and then they can see it from the web, for example, right? So the training is very important. It's a long year-round training, right? It's not about talking about training to the response center or the PSAP, but the same training will go to all those agencies. Imagine that we are having 5 agencies currently. We have police, and police, they have their own training. For the fire department, they have own training, and the rest is the same, right? And imagine the number of turnaround, right, for people, whether it is from police and so forth. It's quite rampant, whereby the training is always ongoing. All right, so here we are on NG999, all right? We estimated, currently we are on the solution implementation, right? The good thing is we understand and we know what we want actually based on our experience with the agencies, right? And the technology will comes later, all right? What we did back in 2007 was the technology came first, then only the requirement from the agencies, but now it's different. We understand what the fire department wants what the requirement from the police. We sit down, make sure that this is the real things that they want, right? Then only we determine the technology, all right? But thanks to EENA, because we are referring to EENA's website all the time, and then we are also referring to EENA's partners to see which is the best technology that we could furnish our needs, all right? The important thing is what we did is we also implement procurement engineering, right? All of those technology providers, they are required to send us all those proposals to us. And then from there, we evaluate whether they really can do it. Because when we talk about technologies, for example, CAD, for example, right? I think CAD is a commodity whereby everybody can do CAD, for example, right? But actually whether that CAD can really meet the requirement of all the agencies is very important, right? And then definitely the customization has to be done because we know the agencies themselves, because the culture in Malaysia may be different. It's different in Europe and America, for example, right? So we know how they work. Because we cannot say that, I mean, like fire or ambulance services, pre-hospital care in Malaysia will be the same in Europe or maybe the same in the US. It's different. So that's the thing that we really understand their requirement, make sure that by having a lot of workshops with them, I think based on my experience, we have done like more than 5 workshops together with them to really understand what they want, right? And then from there, then only we talk about infrastructure readiness, which is to us, we are talking about estimated timeline of 6 months. Remember that MERS 999 currently we are all connected, right? With 400 oversights. But when it comes to NG 999, right, the requirement has increased from 400 to 839 sites throughout Malaysia. So there's a big thing, right? So when it comes to NG 999, the current system will be phasing out, right? So what happened is we're going to change to the new one. Everything, the new system, the new communication, the new CAD, the new network, talking about, we are using the virtual private cloud. So it is not even a single thing that I've been using back in 2007, the current we're using here now, right, will be used back for NG999. It's going to be a new one, yeah? So imagine with that, it's going to be a very huge development, huge budget required, right? And but finally, the government has given their green light to proceed with this, because this is very important. We are talking about saving life, right? And then user training and technology transfer is very important as well. For those that are coming to Malaysia, for example, with their technology, remember this is very important. Technology transfer has to be there. So we want to understand more about that. And the office has to be in Kuala Lumpur as well. Because if you are somewhere in Europe or US, right, if anything happened, right, so we are like different time zone, 7 hours from here, and Europe, or maybe more than 12 hours or 18 hours with the US, right? So we are planning to ready with NG999 in August 2023, right? That is our commitment to the government. All right, talking about public warning system, all right, it has already been there, for example, back in 2017, whereby Malaysia is a tropical country. We have rain and shine, rain and shine, rain and shine. There's no snow and whatsoever, right? So whenever it is rain, right, flood will also be there. And then the recent flood recently, like 2-3 months ago, right, it's really affected the city of Kuala Lumpur and Selangor. So a lot of people affected. So even you have a good system, for example, you have a good notification system. If it is, for example, has reached a massive flood, the system sometimes cannot help. So it's about how the people move and how fast they can leave their house to go to the rescue center. All right? So I think this is going to be my last slide. All right, I think that's all. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And do you have any questions from the audience? Okay, actually I have one question. And you also.
Maybe they don't understand me.
Actually, I would like to know, there was on one slide that with NG you will use artificial intelligence. Do you already know how and
Again? Yeah, again. The application?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
The question is?
Actually, the question is that there was written that with NG 999 you will use artificial intelligence. And do you know already how you will use it? Or?
All right. This is the plan is whatever things, the application that we have in the current 999 will be upgraded. And the future application, for example, we'll be using our fire hydrant application. AED application will be introduced as well. And e-call will be also introduced in NG999. Because currently the system that we have back in 2007 is similar to what, if you remember our Nokia 3310 as compared to our new smartphone, right? It cannot be upgraded, it cannot do anything, there's no data of that. So with the new one, a lot of things that we need to do, right? And the access to 999 is, we are not limited to, as I mentioned just now, it's not only limited to voice, we also will open it up to voice call, video call. We also open it up to radio communication, right? And as I mentioned, it's on IoT. Also, we will allow that to happen. Okay, in 2023.
Okay, thank you. And Björn?
Yeah, just a short question. You mentioned that you moved to mobile call takers sitting at home, as I understand it. What are your experiences with that?
Currently, we don't have mobile call taking. But based on our experience with COVID recently, right, it's very important. Because currently we have 3 response center or PSAP, right? If any of those 2 has to be closed, right? We only left with 1, right? And the number of calls is, we are talking about 1 million calls per month, all right? So in total is a 12 million call, right? So we need those PSAP or response center, for example, is already been closed, so they can turn on anywhere from home, for example. Turn on the laptop, and then they can receive the call, right? And the important thing is to have the good internet connectivity. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Welcome.
So it seems that we don't have any more questions, but now you can enjoy your coffee break, and you be back in plenary room in 10:40, and then you can hear about preventing forest fires. So thank you.